welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Sandy Stream, author and activist whose is built on the belief that everyone deserves and is capable of finding peace and warrior-like strength within themselves. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thank you so much for having me, AJ.
You are welcome. And I'm sure a lot of people will benefit out of this conversation to understand from you, not only in India, but also across the globe, whenever they watch it, whenever they listen to it, Sandy. So, first, to understand from you, Sandy, I have heard about the circle of life, and you are creating the courage circle. So, help us understand what this courage circle is all about. And you have also a book by that name, if I'm right, the Courage Circle by Sandy Street. Help us understand this part about the courage that you talk so often about.
My book came about from my own suffering, I think like many people do. So I had several very difficult years, and I started taking a lot of notes. I did a lot of meditations. I watched everything I can. I listened to anything I could find just to try to make some sense into my own life and to start to feel okay. And after these notes, I like to call them sanity notes. They became a book, and they're just many pieces of a puzzle. So it's not one thing. It's just many pieces of a puzzle that helped me walk around in this world at all times, basically feeling okay. And that is not a usual thing that most people walk around, just kind of feeling okay about themselves, about the world, about what they're doing, just in general. And so from that place, I decided I'll start some circles where we sit around together and discuss some of the topics that are in the book. And one thing that's really important that I feel that we start with in order to set just to set the atmosphere in the room, which maybe for right now occurs just in my circle, but I hope it'll occur in the world. So one thing we do is that, we introduce ourselves first, and then, I ask everyone to put their CV, tell me about you, what you think you are or something. And I go first, and I mention that, I have a law degree from a very prestigious law university in Canada. And I'm a lawyer, and I've been teaching law for 20 years, and I have kids in good schools and all these kind of things. And then everybody else also says, maybe you'll say I'm a journalist, I'm a this, I have this, I have a dog, I have a cat, whatever it is. And then I ask everyone for us to spend a few moments to drop all that, all our titles, all our cats and dogs and kids and everything else, and see if we can just start to deal with each other, from a place of our essence, something that's interior, that is really has always been there. When we're 7 years old, or when you're 15 years old, AJ, you were probably the same at 7, you were the same at 15, and you're the same now, right? So this is your essence, and it has absolutely nothing to do with our titles and education and jobs and all the other things. So we kind of drop all that, reintroduce ourselves from zero, just with our names. So I say, hi, my name is Sandy. Hi, my name is AJ. Hi, my name. And then this is the atmosphere where we start to have conversations, from a place of a deeper essence and equality, regardless of anything else. So ultimately, I guess the goal of the courage circle is for each person to find the courage. And it is possible to encourage each other. That's why the word encourage has the word courage in it, to encourage each person to learn how to really be fully themselves in a deeper way, and to live a life where they are both soft, very soft, actually, with themselves first, before they get soft with other people. But first, very, very soft with yourself, but at the same time, very strong. So it's a very balanced way of living, where you have a very, very soft heart, but you are also very strong or warrior-like in your strength of how you, how you deal with the world, how you express yourself, where you put your boundaries, things like that. So that's a bit the summary of what I'm doing.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sandy. So help us understand uh, if we are born with this thing called courage, like fear, it is part of us. Courage is also part of us. It's within our system. Some people are able to exhibit it less. Some people are able to exhibit it more. Then
Yeah.
where does this courage go with time? Because you talked about essence.
Yes.
It's a part of our human essence,
Yeah.
our existence. So where does it go away? Who steals it? Or should we throw away? Or should we push it into the deeper corners of our being? And why do you talk about courage? And why do you think it is so critical in our lives?
Such a good question, AJ. It's so hard to live in our current world the way it is. I'm hopeful it's not going to stay this way, but the current way it is very difficult because, there's a constant putting each other down. Like it's really constant. Whether you do it directly by, insulting someone or putting them down, or just very subtle, I'm a little bit superior to you, or you're not doing this correctly, or you're stupid. Just, subtle, constant putting each other down. There's also constant, control, everyone telling you what you should do and how you should do it. And if you don't do this, you're stupid or you're this, it's very maybe subtle, but it really is constant. So it's very hard to learn, and in a group setting we can learn that, to start to really feel our own self and decide how we want to run our life based on what we feel, not what our parents feel, our colleagues feel, or even our children think we should do, or how we should do our life, or to make them like us, or things like that. So it's a very hard thing to start to learn how to respect this inner guidance that we have. And then once you have it, you kind of need courage to, like, kind of put it out there, because um, we're not used to doing it, basically, and we don't have a lot of people around us who operate this way. So it really does take courage to do this. And one story I could tell from our courage circle, and courage is not to go and, save somebody from the train. That's not the way that I see it. But, one woman who attended, I often start, we do a little bit of listening practice where each, we learn how to listen, basically. The usual way people listen, I don't know if that's listening really, but we discuss listening. And I asked someone to share something so we can talk about it. And she shared that the reason that she had come to attend is because both her father and her husband constantly call her a chicken. And so she wanted to attend because she feels she's had this label her whole life and she wants to see what she can do with it. And, we just kind of listened to her, and there was a lot of encouraging energy in the room about it. No, but nobody, jumped to save her or run her life or control her or say anything much. We were just kind of listening and encouraging. And she showed up the next class and said that she had stood up to her boss for the first time in her life, and she was over 50. Stood up doesn't mean she necessarily, quit or caused a thing, but I don't know exactly what she did, but she actually, expressed what she thought about something or what she felt about something. And it was her first time. And I can tell you, when she shared that story, courage was contagious. I mean, everybody's energy felt so, uplifted in terms of what's possible to do, each one of us in our own life. So, stopping to try to solve everybody else's life or tell everybody else how to live, just to learn how to live yourself, in a healthy way, in a peaceful way yourself, so that you can then spill that over into the world after, right? So it really starts with yourself, really, all this kind of work, in my opinion, anyway. AJ.
Right, right, Sandy. So if courage is so contagious,
Yeah.
then how is it that people are losing courage in great numbers? Or is it that at one point in time, I am the one who is the victim, and at one point in time, I am the one who is the perpetuator of, you know,
Yes.
taking away people's courage?
Yeah.
Because we humans can be very different, very difficult,
Yeah.
and many a times we tend to be nice to people who have got that force, which you call as force, and we cannot be nice to people who have lesser force of power, but you differentiate force and power differently. How do you look at that? What would you tell people how they can get back their courage in life so that they can live the way they want to, how they can stand up for themselves, and how they will never have to seek the permission of the world to be themselves?
Oh,
Help us.
so many good questions there. I wish we have 2 hours together. I don't think it's one thing. So it's many, like I said, it's many pieces of a puzzle that I tried to put together in the book, because it's many aspects. One of it could be simply, being able to listen to music and hear well, or feel your emotions and how to deal with them, or even feel the floor or nature. So it's not all kind of psychology stuff. Some of it, there's so many pieces to the puzzle, but I think a very important piece is to start to look for how to guide your life from inside instead of from outside. So we're very used to looking outside for many things, right? We look to the outside for approval. Am I good? Am I not good? What's wrong with me? What's not wrong? We do that. That's giving away this power basically to another person to decide about you, right? So that's one. So we might look for approval outside, or for even when we're looking for love. And that's an interesting one, a deeper question. Do we actually just get it from another person, like something to feed us, or is this something we can offer ourselves in a deeper way, and then maybe experience it with others, but that we're not kind of getting it from the outside all the time? So I think a big part of it is just getting to know yourself well, and not looking for the outside world, as you were saying, also to always rescue you, or to, solve all your things. Doesn't mean we don't ask for help. Asking for help is a courageous act. Okay. When we ask for help, that means we feel like, there's something important about us that we need to take care of, that we matter. So getting help is actually an act of courage, in my view. But if you were asking me like my thoughts about, being a victim, it's a complicated one, but I maybe we share the idea that it's really, really important to always see our part in everything that's going on, even if it's like 1%, but to see how we are actually somehow contributing to the issues. So, for example, if there's two countries at war, with each other, everybody is maybe upset. Oh, there's war out there between these two countries. Well, maybe we're contributing a little bit to that, because maybe we are also nationalistic, right? So we're
Right.
contributing to this concept of very extreme nationalism, even by doing it ourselves, even if we're not doing it with those countries. So we can often look and find how we play a part in all things, and that helps us learn to see, how we want to walk around in the world, and what we want to do, and how we're playing a part in everything that's happening, you know?
Right, Sandy. Right. You talk about people needing to be in groups or to
Yeah,
belong to that group. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Now, earlier when we transformed as from human beings, we were into tribes, and then we made our society, nations, and all. So, and then today we have the society, the nation at large. Then we have the community, and now you talk about groups. So, does it mean that the society has not been able to do that, fulfill that role of what it was meant for? Even the community people, because communities from real offline communities, now we are talking about communities online, and then you talk about groups. So how do you look at this, and why do you think that the role of society, that it was supposed to make the human being belong or be part of that whole you know
Yeah, yeah, I hear
structure,
you.
which is going to
Yes.
protect it emotionally, physically, in every way that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Even your community, that you belong to, anywhere you meet, that is. Then
Yeah,
why? How
yeah.
do you think? What is your group about when you talk about groups? And then how is it? Do you think it is better than the already existing structures? Do you think we have come to a final solution where actually this is going to help, or is it that we will need to keep searching?
Well, I might say something radical to what you're used to hearing, AJ, but
Perfectly
I'll,
all right.
I'll I'll say exactly what I feel. So about this topic, when you spend a lot of time with yourself, basically, whether you want to call that meditation, and meditation for me doesn't necessarily mean just sitting and paying attention to breath, although that's an important aspect, but really getting to feel yourself in a deep way, including all your emotions. Just really get to know and feel yourself in a deep way, and be in the body instead of being, in your head all the time, right? So the more you're in your body and in life and experiencing life, at least what happened to me, I can't speak for others, but what happened to me is that you start to feel like you belong, period. So you don't need anybody's permission to belong in anything, because you actually belong in this world because you're here. So for me, the question is almost like saying, does the zebra belong on the earth? It's a weird question. What do you mean? Right? It doesn't make sense. Does a zebra belong? Right? The zebra is here. It's alive. It has
Absolutely.
life and it's here. And so, when we see ourselves that way, we don't necessarily always try to look for it. And it doesn't mean we don't like to have some sense of things shared. We might have some shared common interests, whether it's in my courage circle or in family or some community, but ultimately above this, circle or community or whatever else, to recognize that everybody is, equal in a very fundamental way, and that we are human beings at the highest, level of category, aside from those other categories that people divide themselves into. So I kind of walk around, I feel like I belong whatever I'm doing and wherever I go now. And even if I'm not, whatever it is, even if I go to, the principal's office at my daughter's school and there's an issue, I feel I belong there. I kind of feel I belong wherever I am, right? Because I don't look to somebody else to tell me if I am supposed to be here or not supposed to be here. And like a lot of things, that those groups that exist are very conditional. You don't actually belong in them, because if you don't follow some rule, you're out, right? So how do you really belong if there's so many conditions, to that belonging? So I don't know. That's my take on the belonging aspect.
Perfect, perfect. That's the goodness of being in an open society where people, or a democratic society where you can express your opinion, and you are, people have that openness or understanding or the right to agree to disagree. That's
Yeah,
the good part of it. And but sometimes, or in organizations, or even in our society, sometimes even in our homes, that does not
it's very
work out
difficult.
that ways, and that is
Yeah.
not a good thing that we have come to, in spite of having made progress as human beings. That's the problem. Even on online, as you see, there is so much of hate. There is cancel culture, a lot of places, online, offline. That is just a shame.
Yeah.
Things, whatever way they be, you are trying to make a difference. So tell us your book. Who is this book for?
It's not geared to a specific person, so it's really anyone who's interested. It's called the Courage Circle, because I literally painted. I was feeling so. I was going through such difficult times that I painted a little circle actually in my living room, and I called that. So that's my Courage Circle. I'm going to sit here and figure out what to do in my life and how to do it. And so that's why it's called the Courage Circle, so that you draw a circle basically around yourself and start to see what's going on, and see if, eventually you can muster some courage to be yourself, basically. It takes a lot of courage to be yourself in this world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw those pictures on your website, people drawing those circles,
Yeah.
and that there is a detailed instruction on that. I would certainly like to understand how one can draw, but those look very, very cool, in fact, and much very, very meaningful. What does this circle means? Some circles are half drawn, quarter drawn, but they
Yeah.
actually, they mean a lot, and I'm sure
Yeah, yeah.
you will be able to help us understand the deeper meaning of
Well, I mean, I was trying to figure out, how to do a website for the book and everything else. And I was talking with the designer, and we were coming up with some ideas. And we came up the idea of putting a tab that's called followers, because everybody is, there's a big push towards followers. But then, in line with, the ideas of the book, the main message is, don't follow me, follow you. Don't
right.
follow me. Follow yourself. You're the one who has all the answers. So that's, the followers tab actually has no followers. It just has people that have come into my life that, drew their own circle basically. And, they put a little quote about how, they followed their own path, and, and how that served them. So I guess you can call that the "Don't Follow Me, Follow You" page that we did on my website.
That's a very confident you, because uh, only a very confident person would want no followers, all people who can actually be independent, and independent in their thought, independent in the way they are independent, that they can live
Yeah.
freely. That's the hallmark of a very confident and very, very good person, and
Oh,
that
thank
is
you very
what
much. I don't
can,
know. It's
I
for
really
me.
mean
It's
it. In fact,
basic respect. It's basic respect.
I saw it on your site when I was looking as, yeah, that's very nice of you. Very nice to have, see people like you in this world. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to know more about you, Sandy. So how do they get in touch with you, and how do they know more about you? How do they, get to buy the book that you have?
Well, I'm actually a very private person, so this takes me a lot of courage to start to come out and talk about my book. I don't do social media. I didn't do anything, but I just feel like I should do this. That's part of being me. And so it's very simple. I don't have social media except my website. So it's thecouragecircle.com. And so people could contact me there. And well, the book is available probably everywhere. I don't know, like Amazon and Barnes and Noble and wherever else. So they can purchase it there if they're interested. And if you're in Montreal, where I am, then you can join our in-person circles that we do. But I don't know how many of your listeners are here, but if you're ever in Montreal, you can, on the website, I have the link to come and attend our circles. They're really nice.
Right, right. My last question to you, Sandy, is to understand in today's time is that uh, it's like drawing my own circle.
Yes, good.
If I also have to ensure
Yeah,
that it does not overlap into another person's circle that they have for themselves. In the
yeah,
same way, like when we are talking about standing up for ourselves,
yeah.
then how do we ensure that we are also standing for them, or at least let them be standing for themselves? What would you like to tell people on this account? This is my
Yeah,
last.
so I mean, to start with, again, stop focusing on other people. First, get yourself, together and feeling okay. And it's not easy if we've lived many traumas or difficulties or learning about ourselves. So definitely focus on the self, and doing that is not selfish. To me, that's your responsibility, actually. And then, of course, in order to be kind to other people or helpful to other people, you can provide support or guidance, but not try to take over their life or control them, because really they are the best person who can know how to guide their own life, with adequate kind of support and listening and things like that. That's really, I think, the best thing you can do for a person to help them make their choices, in their own life. But again, focus on you first. It's only when your glass is full that maybe something can spill over afterwards, right?
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed
Thank
for
you so
joining
much
us.
for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you.